So this is your Chapter 2 review video. Chapter 2 is all on solving equations. So example 1, I'm going to have you solve a one-step equation. 2, I'm going to have you do a two-step equation. And then multi-step, variables on both sides, literal, they get harder as we go. Okay. So the one-step equation, I need to get x by itself. So it's with the x, plus 5. What's the opposite of plus 5? Minus 5. If I do it to one side, I have to do it to the other side. So 5 minus 5 goes away. The x comes down. And what is negative 2 plus negative 5? It's negative 7. So there's your solution. How about a two-step? Find your variable. First, you divide by 4, and then you subtract 3. So, if I'm going to undo that, I need to undo subtracting 3. So, let's add 3. You always work from the outside in. This is going to come down. Negative 4 plus 3 is negative 1. Now, y divided by 4, to undo the division by 4, we're going to multiply by 4. So that cancels, and I get y equals negative 4. Okay, so that's a two-step equation. A multi-step, that's any number of steps more than 2. So in multi-step, what I need to do here is, if I have a variable in the parentheses, I need to get it out of parentheses. So to do that, I'm going to distribute the 7. And I get 7s minus 35 equals 42. Now look at my s. First, I am multiplying by 7 and then subtracting 35. So to undo that, I'm going to undo the subtraction first. And I get 7s equals 77. So some of you can do that in your head. If you divide both sides by 7, you get s equals 11. And if we wanted to count the steps there, that's one step, two step, 3 steps. So it's a 3-step equation. Alright, b. Well, b, my variable is b. So what I want to do here is, I have 2 different b's. That's not okay. To solve that, they need to be in the same spot. So I'm going to take the negative 4b and the positive 2b, and I'm going to combine them. Negative 4 plus 2 is negative 2b. Minus 5 equals 10. Now, if I look at b, what's happening to it is, first I'm multiplying by negative 2 and then subtracting 5. So let me just write that down. Multiply by negative 2 and then subtract 5. So, since this was first and this was second, when I undo it, I'm going to undo this and then undo this. So undo subtraction, I'm going to add 5. I'm going to add 5 to both sides. And I get negative 2b equals 15. And then I'm going to divide both sides by negative 2. And I get b equals negative 7.5. And I didn't panic because my answer is a decimal. Okay? Variables on both sides. This is a lot of steps. And first thing I notice is that the variable's in parentheses, so I need to distribute. So I'm going to distribute the 3. And I also have to distribute the negative 1/2 on that side. Don't panic just because there's a fraction in it. So if I distribute the 3, I get 3h minus 12. If I distribute the 1/2, negative times positive is negative, and half of 24 is 12. Negative times negative is positive, and half of 6 is 3. Now I need to get the variables on the same side, so I'm going to move the 3h. And I get negative 12 equals negative 12. Don't panic. Is that true? Does negative 12 equal negative 12? Yes, of course it does. So if it's always true, when you get something like that and it's always true, your answer is all real numbers. You can write it out like that, or you can give me this symbol, which is a capital R with 2 legs. So the answer to that equation is all real numbers. It could have been no solution. If this had said like negative 12 equals 2 and it was not true, never true, then it's no solution. Alright, now we're getting into everybody's favorite. That's sarcasm. It's literal equations. I don't know that I've ever had a student that actually liked literal equations. But whether you like it or not, they're a reality, and you just got to learn them. So what we're going to do here is solve for x. Find your x. There's 3 different variables. I don't need any of them but the x. So I'm going to put my little arrow there. What's happening to the x? First, I'm adding r. I'm going to make a list. Then I'm dividing by t. And then the last thing I'm doing is adding 1. So that's my list of things I'm doing to x. Now I need to undo it. So this is the first thing I'm going to undo. What's the opposite of plus 1? Minus 1. Okay, got that taken care of. What's the opposite of divide by t? Multiply by t. You do that to both sides. So I get x plus r equals negative t. And then last thing, what's the opposite of add r? Subtract r. So x equals negative t minus r. Okay? And I know it looks like a mess, but you know you're done whenever, if it says solve for x, x is by itself. Now you're finished. Okay? Now we're going to convert. I want you to convert 6.5 feet to inches. And I'm willing to bet a lot of you know how to do this in your head. 6.5 feet. Let's see, you do 6 times 12, and then half a foot is 6, so that's going to be 6 times 12 is 72, plus another half a foot, which is 6 inches, and you get 78. That's fine with me if you want to do it that way. But the conversion they want you to do is 6.5 feet. Let's multiply it by a conversion factor. So in 1 foot, we have 12 inches. What you want to do is you want to put something that equals on top of one another. This unit has to cancel this one, so it goes on the bottom, and the other unit goes in the other part. So then I'm going to multiply 6.5 times 12, and the feet cancel, and I get 78 inches. I don't care how you have to do it, just as long as you can get a right answer. And then the last one, I want you to do a proportion. These are the easiest equations to solve. To do a proportion, you find cross products. So 6 times b plus 3, and then 7 times b minus 3. I'm going to rewrite this over here. But before I rewrite it, I'm going to go ahead and distribute, because these parentheses need to go away. So 6 times b plus 6 times 3 is going to be 6b plus 18. And then 7 times b is 7b. 7 times 3 is 21. So minus 6b from both sides. And I get 18 equals b minus 21. Now let's add 21 to both sides. And I get 39 equals b.